Well, jewelry making friends, my name is Joey Balistreri. Welcome to my work table and welcome to my channel. You may recognize what you see on my mat because I recently was contacted by a wonderful company. The beads come directly from the Czech Republic, and these were some of the beads that I unboxed in a recent video, and I can link that video below. So they have two boxes. This one is called BohemStyle, and in this one there are two complete projects. The insert gives you a link to an actual video tutorial that is step by step, and there was a beautiful necklace and bracelet in this project. But of course, you don't have to do the project. You can use the beads and do your own thing, which is what I'm going to do. They also have another box called Czech Beads Exclusive. And this was a fabulous, I believe there were 26 items in this little box, and just a fabulous sampler of Czech glass, and it was just delicious. So I will link that video and you can kind of see. I was very impressed with the quality from this company and the price. They ship internationally. The shipping is even lower than some places that are shipping in my own country from state to state. So I was very impressed with it. And what I have done is taken my very favorite beads from the two box, and I am doing my own thing. So one of the things that I am just absolutely in love with, this, don't even ask me why, but this may be one of my favorite beads of all time. To me, this is just, it's just me in a nutshell. This perfect color of pink, a gold wash, flower embossed, and this cool brick shape. The whole goes up, top to bottom. And in these boxes, we received 3 of these, and we received 1 in the same bead but in the green, and I just absolutely love them. So in this little dish I have pulled aside the things for a bracelet project. It's going to be coordinating, maybe not an exact set, but that's the plan. So I'm just going to set this aside. I actually had these in my stash, and they may or may not be used in either one of the projects. Let me just show you. This was one of the Czech glass beads that came in the box, and these little bell flowers are exactly the same match, same colorway, everything. So I took those out and put them here, and you'll see, I'll try to pop up a picture if I can, but there were some components in the box for making the projects that they were supplying the beads for. There were 2 of these little gold rings, and there was 1 of these green flowers. As you can see, I'm already working on my drop. There were even these 2 little tiny Czech glass gold spacer beads, and I don't know, because I really am not planning to do the project that the box, you know, provided along with the beads. I'm going to do my own thing. And so if you can kind of see what I've laid out here, and I can try to zoom in. If you can kind of see what I've laid out here, I am making a very delicate Y necklace, because for me, if I love beads, and this is just quintessential my style, then 2 of my favorite go-to are a Y necklace and a beaded chain. You cannot go wrong. They are classic elegance and go with everything. And I want to do a really delicate one and not super long, which if you've watched any of my videos, then that might sound strange coming from me because I love long necklaces, but that is my idea. So I am creating with some 20 gauge wire these little components, and then I'm putting them on my bench block and hammering them. And I just got started so that I can show you the idea for my project, and then I'm going to show you how I made these. But this is what the little component looks like after it has been hammered. And these are super simple to make. And then I think that when I have enough for the length that I want, I believe I'm going to also make my own jump rings and connect every single thing with a jump ring. So there were also, I believe, let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, there were 12 of these little beads in the box, and I just love those, and I think they're going to be a beautiful little station in between my bar connectors that I am creating. So I'm going to stay zoomed in, and I guess this little guy fell out. And so kind of show you what I'm doing to create this mini links. I have this little pile of cut wire, and I've done more than two, but I have these two that I haven't hammered yet. And so what I'm doing is making a few. I cut all my wires, I'm making a few, and then I'm hammering them, and then I'm just kind of keep an eye out so that I don't make too many extras. And I just put this on here so that you could see that my Y is going to be a feature of this gold ring, this bead. This is the same component here, but a bit longer. And then this is going to be my drop at the end. And I just realized I'm not in the camera, but that's going to be my drop right at the end. So I'm going to take these off of here now and just leave them here because I want to use this wire to show you what I'm doing. If you're going to try to do your own beaded chain with wire, a little pair of nylon jaw pliers is a really great tool because, you know, you want it, especially for a bar component, you want it to be nice and straight. And so here's where I started out. In fact, I don't even remember. I think I did 1.25 inches. Let me just tell you the measurement in case any of you want to do this project the way that I'm doing it. Yes, 1.25 inches. So you can start out, let me give myself a nice clean cut here on the end. You can start out with your ruler and, you know, getting that 1.25 inches and make that cut right there. And then after you have the measurement correct that you want, then you can put the ruler away and use one of your pieces of wire for your the rest of your little bits that are there. So that's what I did to make a little pile, and after I use those up, I may go back and do more. And then for these, actually for all of the loops, I am using my 2.25 inch one-step looper. Let me just zoom out a little bit back to normal. And the way you use this is just put the wire under the mandrel. You don't, if there's not a bead on it, you don't need to push it in too far. Just past the back jaw of the plier, and it does a clean cut, wraps the wire around the mandrel, makes the loop. There's the teeny little bit of waste, and then while it's still in the tool and I have a hold of it, I just pull the wire down so that I can see that my loop is centered on the wire. And so for a piece like this where I have to make a lot of components over and over and over again, that's one actually quite perfect. This really saves my hand from being in pain after I've done so many, and every loop is exactly the same. Lots and lots of easy consistency with this tool. But you don't have to use this tool if you like to do your simple loops with your plier. That is perfectly fine. When the loops are in, nobody will know how you made them. And so what I did is I separated this little quantity of beads so that I would have equal amounts on both sides. And I'm just going to thread one on that wire, and I like to do my loops in opposite directions, so the tool will always fold it upward. So I'm going to have the opening down on this one, and this time I will push the wire through the hole in the back of the tool, and I'll close it just slightly just so I can see. And I always just back my Czech glass or crystal beads off that jaw right there and then close it slowly. It makes that little cut for you. And then before I close the tool all the way, I'm just going to pull that down. So my bead is out of the way, and I can also see that this loop is totally lined up. Now you can take your plier if you did not get your loops perfect. This one is really perfect. I've used this tool a lot, so I don't have a lot of trouble with it. But if you see that yours is crooked or not lined up, you can take your pliers and take care of that while it's still in the tool. And when I take that away, I have my little component done. So that is how I am doing these components. And then The ones that are the bars, all of my little wires are the same length, and again I'm going to use that same 2 1/4 one-step looper, and I'm going to put that wire in the back, just where I can see the tip of it is just past that back jaw of the plier. And so normally, as you saw at the beginning, I would make a clean cut with my pliers so that I have a nice blunt edge. But if you're making a beaded chain like this with this tool, you can skip that step, and it does the cut for you. See, it just gave it a nice perfect little blunt cut, and it makes the loop. And then I will just pull the wire down so the loop is centered right on the wire. And that part of the component is done. Now on these, I'm going to hammer and texture them on my bench block, so if the loop is not perfectly closed or whatever, it's a waste of time at this point to spend time on it, because it would have to be done again after the hammering. And then I'm just turning that loop so that it's downward, and I'm going to repeat the exact same thing on this side, just putting it in right where the wire is just a little bit past the back jaw. And as I close it, it makes that little clean little cut for me, makes the loop, and I just pull it down and get it centered. And I can see that that loop didn't close all the way, but again, I'm going to hammer these, and they get misshapen when you hammer them, so I'm going to have to put my pliers on this again anyway. And so let me just kind of move this little grouping over here and bring in my bench block. This is what it looks like. It's quite heavy. Sometimes I do wish we had feel-o-vision. And I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. Now, if you're would be, you know, if the pounding is going to be shocking, you can either mute your video right now or fast forward. But I'm going to use my ball peen hammer for this, because this component is really small and I like how small this is. And I'm just going to hold one side of this and flatten about halfway, and then turn it around and do the same thing here. And I want to turn it over, do both sides. These won't be exactly alike. They'll be very organic, and I like that. And then instead of putting the dented look with the ball peen, I'm going to use this very edge, and I just kind of played with my first couple, and I am putting like slice marks, if you will. And what it looks like to me, I'll hold it up to the camera. Let me do both sides. It kind of took on a little bit of the diamond cutting that you sometimes see, kind of like this ring. Not hammered, but with little, you know, diamond cuts. It makes it have a little bit of sparkle. So I don't know if the camera is showing you. And you can do as much texturing or as little as you like. And so let me move this out of the way. And then when you hammer wire, you do change the shape, you change the molecular structure, you will open up your loop. So at this point, I will come in and just close those loops, make sure nothing is sharp, everything is, I run my fingers over it to make sure it's smooth. And that is one of my little components. And as I said, I'm going to make some jump rings, I think, and connect everything with jump rings. So I am going to pause the camera here and work on these links, hammer them all. I'm going to make them all, hammer them all. I'll make all of these links, and when I come back, we will connect and put the clasp on, and I'll be thinking as I'm working on these components about the design for my bracelet, my little bowl of deliciousness. So it'll just be a second for you. I'll pause and I'll be right back. I am back and I have finished making all of these components, made some jump rings and connected everything. And look at this, guys. I am so in love with this. It's a little bit minimalist, but very modern and chic, as well as sweet and spring, summer, because of the beautiful pink and green Czech glass beads. It's kind of classic, but also contemporary and, you know, a little bit modern. So I am just thrilled with the way this has turned out so far. And so I did all this repetitive part, and the last thing that has to be done is to create the little drop, kind of the pendant that will get attached right here. And I also need to make some more jump rings, because one of the things that I like to do is double up or sometimes even triple up on my jump rings. And I was considering if I wanted to do it on the chain part, but I really want this chain to be light and airy and delicate. So I think that I am only going to do double jump rings down here on my drop portion. And the other thing, if you'll notice that my little bracelet dish is a little bit empty, and also from the box there were these beautiful little Czech glass green faceted beads. They look like they have a Picasso wash. They're really small. They're like 3 millimeter. So if you notice that I did that again, I'm like, squirrel, I'm working on this necklace and I can't stop thinking about my coordinating bracelet. So I have my other one still on. I'll kind of push that out of the way, but look at this. This was just repetitive, the same thing that I'm doing using the one-step looper, creating 2 1/4 millimeter simple loops. And I just took those little Czech glass flowers from my stash and created 3 little baubles, and they actually clink a little bit when it's moving. And this is a gold filled clasp, and it was a set of 12 or 14, all slightly different shapes. In fact, I have it right here. I can link this below. These were not super expensive, but there were all these different kind of shapes and sizes in this set of clasps, and I kind of pull them out when I want something really special for a piece that I'm making for myself or a gift. And then I use the second ring from the little Czech box, and the other one is here. So these 2 pieces like really coordinate, and I'm going to take this off and kind of lay it out and show you. This was just a very repetitive, I'm literally doing the same thing that I'm doing in the necklace, so I didn't want to bore you, but I decided to use this little diamond cut ring as the clasp. And so I just made 3 of these little flower components, and I love these ball head pins. I actually get these from Potomac Beads, and they're so nice to work with. I think they're 22 gauge, and they are 29 karat gold plated, and they just are beautiful. You know, they're just, that little dot of gold at the end is so pretty. So that is how I did these little components, and I just went down to my 1.5 millimeter one-step looper to make those little loops. So this was all like basic skills, very repetitive. I love this kind of project on a weekend where I'm going to just sit and make some components. And you know, you've already heard me say how much I love these oblong beads, and I mulled over in my head if I wanted to do a herringbone wrap or what I wanted to do. And I came down to the fact that they're 2-sided, like little bricks with this beautiful flower embossed, the gold wash, like my favorite things. And I said, just let them do their thing on my bracelet. So that is all I did, is a simple loop. And I got my length just perfect. And I'm just absolutely thrilled. I mean, this is a bracelet that I'll just wear and wear and wear. And the little ring that came in the box makes a perfect little closure. So the bracelet is done, and I'm just like thrilled with it. Let me move the little extras out of the way and put that here. And so the last thing that we have to do is make the drop on this. And I have some wire out here because I was considering doing a spiral and then wrapping this, and I I really like that idea, but then to keep it consistent with everything else I've done and to keep it minimalist and really delicate, I'm debating if I want to do this on just a ball head pin and wire wrap it. So I wish you guys were sitting here with me so that you could give me your opinion. That's really pretty. It's just really, really beautiful. Let's see. Yeah, I think I like the little ball. And so the other little thing to say about this is everything is a simple loop and really jump ring opening and closing. But I did wire wrap this piece, and I plan to wire wrap the other drop just because, and this is delicate and very, very malleable, like not malleable, but it's very fluid is the word I was looking for. But I do want this to stay facing forward as much as possible, and this as well. So I am going to wire wrap this component. I really do like that. I was debating if I wanted like a spiral head pin here that I would make myself, but I really want to keep this piece simple. I also have my veil making pliers here because I plan to make some more jump rings. If you haven't seen me do that before, we'll do a few together really quickly. So what I need to think about here is the orientation of my loop and decide if I want to connect with a jump ring here, and I think I do. So I'm going to do my loop like going side to side from the flower. So I'm just going to put a 90-degree bend in, and because of the petite scale of this, I'm making really small loops on these, so I'm staying down near that tip of my plier, and I just want to bring the wire over the top barrel of the plier and then rotate it out of my way and then bring it around. And then what I like to do is just kind of roll my wrist back and just center that loop. And then you can take the plier away and come back with your regular chain nose pliers or your bent chain nose pliers. And I'm just going to wrap all the way down to that pink bead, because I really like to, I want to be super careful not to crack or stress these beads, but I would really like to stabilize it facing forward. And it's one of the reasons I was thinking about making my own little spiral, is I was a little bit concerned about the length of this ball head pin, if I would have enough. So all I can do is try. You wrap it all the way down and just see if I can stabilize this facing forward. It's such a tiny little end of wire. Let's see if I can get in there. That is perfection. I love that. So also I pulled out a magnetic clasp, and I just love that I am using the 20 gauge non-tarnish wire. And this one is, I think, from Softflex company. I do Softflex company's non-tarnish wire sometimes, and I like Bead-A-Lon's. But what I love is you can see that I have this magnetic clasp, and it sticks to all the pliers and everything, but it does not grab on to this wire, which is a detail. But for a clasp on the back, I really like that it won't be grabbing onto my chain, that everything will hang nicely. So I am going to do jump rings with that clasp, and I'm going to do a little tiny one on each end and then one of these to connect to the chain. And so I do have a couple here, so I can go ahead before we make more and attach my little final drop. So just get this open and attach and attach. And I think I will do the double jump ring just on the drop part. Let me see how it looks. It's just a jump ring, so if I think it's making it too chunky or kind of not keeping the continuity of my piece, then you know, I can always take one off. Okay, let's see. Oh, I really like the double jump rings. That just looks really great. And just these beads were so much my favorites that I really wanted them to be featured. I wanted like the lines of the piece and the choices that I make to be leading right into showing off these beads and keeping this piece simple. So as I said, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to do double jump rings through the entire length of the chain that I made, because I like the simplicity and how chic it is and how modern it is. But I do like it on the drop. And because I have made this chain and I have been the one who put all the cuts in these jump rings and in the wire, I like to run my finger over things, because when this is on, I don't want to feel anything sharp. Oh, that is so beautiful. I'm just so happy with it. And I do want to put another jump ring there. So let me move these things out of the way, and same wire that I've been using right off the spool. And I have been using these bail making pliers because when I want to make jump rings, I really like the long length here, and I really love the handle on these. They fit my hand, like my whole hand. And so if you haven't seen me do this, it's really simple. Just put your wire in between and make sure it's not sticking out, because that will be the beginning of your first jump ring. And then just begin to wrap this around. And you will have to, like, once you get your first little circle in there, you do have to kind of reposition so that this barrel is out of your way. And I use my finger and the plier, and I just push the wire against my finger as I'm coiling, and just get a little rhythm and make a coil. And I just took a little length of this wire, and I'm just going to coil the entire length. And so whatever jump rings I need for this project will be ready for this one, and anything left over goes into a little plastic bag in with the actual wire, so I know exactly what these jump rings are made out of. I know that they're 20 gauge wire, that they have the anti-tarnish coating, and so like with that little tail, you never know if it's going to give you another jump ring or not when you start to cut. So what I like to do before I take it off is take my nylon jaw pliers and just wrap it all the way around the barrel before I take it off and start to cut. It's a little challenging to get the pliers in there, but I just take my time, because sometimes that extra little step will give me an extra jump ring. And I just take that coil off and take my really sharp cutters with the flush side, and right where I did my last coil, can you see, I'm just going to cut one ring at a time through the entire coil in as straight of a line as I can get. Sometimes my cutter will cut, it will grab 2 rings at a time if I've coiled them next to each other, but I don't try to do that. I just go slowly and do one at a time. I love making my own jump rings because a lot of times they're better than commercially made ones that are mass produced, and that sometimes the rings close better. It's a more perfect circle, and of course I know exactly what it's made out of. So it looks like I was just a little bit short for making the last little ring, so that one will go in the trash. But there we have it, that simple. So I do want to add a second ring right here. Just looks so beautiful. And I think that everything above my decorative connecting ring, I'm going to leave it single, just leave it delicate. And so it's so fluid. even though I did these bars, it's so fluid with the jump rings in between, and I did the 2¼ millimeter one-step looper, so these loops on everything are a little bit larger, and it just makes this a really fluid, very movable chain. I cannot wait to wear this. This is so beautiful, and I just love featuring these beads. And so I am simply going to add, just because it's part of my pattern, oh, and I forgot to mention, the last 3 links on my chain are just the bars. This is the part that will go behind the head for 2 reasons. This is all the quantity that I had of this little pink Czech glass bead, and I alternated the pink and then a pink with a green, pink, pink with green, and so that was all that I had of them. So I just let this be just plain chain for the back part of the necklace, and it will be fine. That's the part, so there won't be any beads behind the neck. And I am simply going to just complete that pattern with 1 more jump ring on the end, and then I'm going to switch to the smaller jump ring. I think this is a 3 millimeter. I made these as well with another bail making plier, and I'm just going to add this magnetic clasp. And can you see the clasp is grabbing onto my pliers? Once I connect it, I'll show you, but it does not grab onto this chain, to this wire that I've made the chain out of. Let me get the pliers out of the way and show you. So isn't that nice? It's just a detail, but if you can see, the magnetic clasp is not grabbing the chain at all. And you know, it just makes me happy. It's just another thing that adds quality and wearability to my piece. And I'm going to repeat the exact same thing on this side. And then I'll just mention to you again while I'm doing this that these boxes from the Czech Republic are very, very reasonable, and the beads are quality and beautiful and so beautifully curated that everything goes together. Like when I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of green in my chain to bring in the flower and to bring in this other brick bead, I went into the box of goodies, and there was that beautiful little Czech glass faceted little green that matched everything, and you know, I was able to add it in and just create a perfect pattern. And so the one box, the BohemStyle, comes to you with all the beads and a link to you know, making it, to a tutorial, the step-by-step that you can do. But as you can see, I did not do that, and it was a beautiful piece, kind of a statement piece and multi-layered this month. But I didn't want to do that. I just didn't want to do that, and I felt like the beads that were my favorites kind of got lost in that design, and I really wanted to create something that featured the beads so that I could look at them and enjoy them. So this piece is done. And the only thing that I would really like to do is make one of these little flower dangles just for the back of my clasp, because this is the most beautiful little set, and it's just so happy, and it's so me. And so I just want to make a little flower dangle for the back of my piece. And I realized that this is really long again, but I have great news. I have hired a supermodel for my channel, and so this is going to be the first piece that she models for all of you. When I'm finished with the video, I'll take pictures with her wearing this necklace. I'm so excited about having her, because things like this that have all this detail and they're long and delicate, I think you'll be able to see it a lot better. So the way that I did the dangles on here is I simply put one of the flowers so that that little gold ball is in the middle, and then I threaded on one of those beautiful little Czech glass green beads, and I went to my 1.5 millimeter one-step looper and just pull those beads out of the way. And I just love this because when I'm making so many components, my hand doesn't hurt when I'm finished. And all of my loops, all the ones that I wanted 1.5 millimeter, are perfect and identical, and all the ones that I wanted 2.25 millimeter are perfect and identical. So that's what I did on the 3 little components that I made for my bracelet, and I'm doing the exact same thing for the back of my necklace. And I generally like to attach with a jump ring, and I think I'm going to go for a smaller one. Let's see. So in my 20 gauge wire, I keep a little bag of the jump rings that I have made, and so that way I know when I reach for a jump ring exactly what it's made out of. And so these were the smaller ones that I made, and these ones that are left over from this project will go right in here and then get stored with that same wire. And when I design a piece like this, it's so cool to me that literally, other than that ball head pin, which is such a high quality plating, literally every piece of wire, all my components, my jump rings, any of the wire wrapping. Oh, and also I did have this beautiful little ring, but I did kind of use the diamond cutting on this ring as my inspiration for how I textured the little bars that I created. And you all, this is so simple. This project was so simple and inexpensive to make, featuring just a few special Czech glass beads and craft wire and basic skills, really basic skills. Like, there was nothing at all that was advanced here, nothing. You're opening and closing a jump ring with the one-step looper, starting out with cut lengths of wire that all are the same length, makes creating these links super easy. And I don't remember if I mentioned when I started, you do not have to have a bench block and hammer. If you want to leave your wire nice and round and make links like this without hammering, you can totally do that. It's just another look. And you know, for me, I just really like the hammering. I enjoy it. I like the artistry of it, and I like making these links look a little bit organic, because when you pound on them, you do, no, they're not going to all be pounded exactly alike, but I just love that tiny little detail, just, everything that I can do to make my work artisan, quality, and one of a kind. So I will put some pictures of this at the end of the video, and I will just show you the codes in case you are not wanting to subscribe to another box. You can go on the, let's see, this is the BohemStyle website, but I believe you can go on KRAFTIKA. Let me see if I do. So the little green, these little green Czech glass, I think they're 3 millimeter. There is the code for those. You can take a screenshot, and the website is www.kraftika.shop. So you can take a screenshot if you're just wanting to buy beads for my project. There's that one, and then this is the oblong pink bead. There's the code for that. This is the 4 millimeter pink fire polish. That's these little small ones that I used in this component right here. There's the green flower. That's this one right here. That's the code for that. So, grab a screenshot if you're interested in any of this. And then the little tiny gold rings were these. These are, I believe these are a little Czech glass O ring, and it's considered a seed bead, at least by most companies. I think that's what they are. And then the 8 millimeter pink melon beads are the ones that's here and also in my bracelet. So grab a screenshot if you're not interested in getting another box. If you're trying to gather up the supplies to do this, that's the best help I can give you. And as always, if you look in the description box, tap more under my videos. I spend a lot of time creating that box so that I can help you, if save time if you're looking for a tool or any product that I know where I got it. Sometimes I have things for a long time and I don't remember, but anything at all that I think you might be interested in, I always put it in the description box. It takes a little bit of time to do it, but you know, if I get a lot of comments that it's helpful and people really love all the links. It makes it easy to shop. So I thank you so much for watching today. I hope everyone is safe and well and having fun on your beading mats, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, jewelry making friends. I have hired a supermodel to model the necklaces on my channel. And no, it is not Oprah. Her name is Gabriella Eva. She is named after my Italian grandmother, and I am so excited to have a mannequin dress form for my necklace and for my necklaces on. I make so many long ones on my channel, and I'm just so excited to have her. So this is the first necklace that she is modeling, and I'm thrilled with the way that it came out. It's so beautiful. It's a little beaded chain with connector bars that I made from craft wire, and it looks like so much more than that. So stay tuned for more modeling from Gabriella Eva.